today, together with Markus and Lisa. So first of all, I want to just start with short introductions. So like Amanda mentioned, I am Ana Osredkar. I am one of the organizers of the Service Design and UX Drinks Ljubljana or Slovenia. I don't know, do we call it Ljubljana? I think, I forget. But yeah, so today we wanted to have this conversation together with Markus Hormeß that I will be introducing now, which is, shortly to say, a lot of you know him from being one of the co-initiators of the Global Service Jams and co-authors of This is Service Design Doing, amongst all the other things that, is. He's doing also Fab Labs. And so too many things around, but he's really passionate about service design. One thing, we met in Nuremberg at a jam where organizers of jams meet years ago. I forget what year that was, 2014, 2013, I guess.
13, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and basically I am really happy I got to work with him amongst other on this project. And one thing that I really enjoy is working with Markus is that at some point when I manage to catch up on his trail of thoughts, we get to really geek out on service design and what all the different things that we could do and the impact that we could make. So Markus, I will pass it on to you.
Okay, fantastic. And I will introduce Lisa. Lisa Thor has an amazing name. She's related to the hammer-wielding superhero, but she is a superhero all by herself, actually trying to take a big organization to be more customer-centric. And this is a huge task coming from an industry in the energy business where their history was to build a power station, run a power station for 30 years very well and very safely, and have all the sales taken care of. That was the model until maybe a decade ago. But then a lot of things changed and the whole organization had to change. And Lisa is one of these change agents that help the organization to instill that kind of customer centricity. What does it mean for my business? She does that for projects that are outside, that are actual and customer facing, but she also does that helping projects internally like HR, where she just started a couple of years ago, like 1 or 2 years ago, was it? A project 1 year ago to create a better employee experience internally, not just within one location, but across all the E.ON companies European wide. Okay, so that is Lisa. I met her, I think, when we started to work with E.ON. At some point, you joined the team, and she's now responsible for this whole kind of design thinking rollout across, I think, Europe. That's right. Yeah,
yes.
Across all the region. There we go. So, and I'm the one who can't shut up to save his life, so I need to be stopped. So I pass it on before anything happens. So, Lisa.
That's what I love about you, Markus. You never shut up. So I think that's a good thing.
Opinions are split on this one.
Great. So thank you for those kind words, Markus. So I'm gonna, first I want to say I'm really happy to be here. So thanks for having me. So I'm really excited about this. And I'm gonna introduce Ana, even though I think maybe most of you already know her well. But I met Ana when we started to work together with this Heartbeat rollout project. And Ana is a fantastic service designer and a great researcher. And what I really enjoy about Ana is that she always finds solutions to problems and always very creative and innovative solutions and have great ideas. So for me, that has been absolute pleasure to work with her on this. And we have also been meeting up in different contexts as well. And I think something, Anna, that we have enjoyed during the years doing a lot together is chain smoke.
This is something you say on record too. Like we make sure that every single break that we have is go out during breaks and chain smoke for the 10 minutes that we might get out of the day. True. Thank you for pointing that out.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I am open. How'd you say? An open smoker. Okay. Thank you for this lovely introduction. So like we said, yes, we worked together on a software rollout project. And this is basically what we wanted to talk to you today about. So it is not so much a case study than it is a conversation about software rollouts. So a lot of you, especially here, people that are from our community here in Slovenia, a lot of you are UX designers, you might have a lot of experience in designing software. And we were thinking about, let's have a conversation about what happens beyond the actual design of the software and how do you design for the rollout. So what happens with the experiences that either our end users might have, and what happens with the experiences when a organization kind of adopts and buys a new software and this software needs to be rolled out throughout the organization. So this is a conversation that we would like to have with you today. And it is basically, in one side, we wanted to kind of reflect also for ourselves and share some of the learnings that we've come to after actually just over a year after finishing the project, which is funny to think how distance from when something is finished supposedly kind of maybe influences the perspective that we have. And then we would like to also kind of see how we can share experiences within the community. So we would love to hear about your experiences, either as a user being the target of this rollout and or the one experiencing this, or somebody that is actually also within the organization. So, within the organization, kind of experiencing this, and also how do you as a designer of a software product or a digital product, how do you actually design for that, for the rollout and how people experience it? One thing that we would also like to do today, because we come from a co-creation, facilitation kind of background. Also, we do a lot of interactive sessions. So we would love to kind of co-create shitty first some things that might be helpful for your next project. So have a think about, we prepared a few questions that we would like us to reflect together on and see if you can get any value from our conversations from today. But how is this going to look today? So what we thought we would do is give you a kind of a high level overview of what the project for us was, and then have this session kind of iterate between you thinking about what your experiences might be, what you might be doing in our situation, and then us telling you a bit about how we might have, how we approached in this case, but then always we would like us to think together about a generic high level kind of challenge that would bring us to things that might be useful for you, right? We will tell you about how the project went and what those common outcomes were, but we really want to also have this conversation about, or think about what we can create together today that might be of value also for you, for your future work. So what we would like to do first is invite you to have conversations within groups for a few minutes and share your experiences, either, like I mentioned before, either as as a user of a software or as somebody that designed the software? So what were your experiences of rollouts of software? We're going to do this in breakout rooms for around 4 minutes. And Amedea is going to prepare the breakout rooms, but I think Markus would like to add something.
Yeah, so basically we prepared a part of the Miro board. Here it is. A part of the Miro board for you to capture your experiences. So when you hear a story, when you share a story, just write a little post-it on the board. I will bring everybody to me. So you actually, can I do this? No,
You can't. I can. I will.
So here we go. So it's the share your experiences on software rollouts board. It's the green post that you see here. They're just waiting, burning to be filled with experiences and little stories. So have these conversations. If you share an experience, why there, if there's something bad happened, something you didn't like, or something that was really good happened, and you share that. Also share why this was good for you, why you thought this was a bad thing. So we understand, in the sharing of these stories, that we understand this a bit better. Okay, are we ready to get you into the breakout rooms? Fantastic. Then let's go.
Oh, we're there. We stayed here alone. What happened?
What happened?
Amedea, you're on mute.
People have not joined their breakout rooms.
Okay, so to join your breakout rooms, please press join in the Zoom window. So in the Zoom app, please press join the breakout room.
Usually, yeah. And if you, for some reason, lost that window, so it's a pop-up window, sometimes you find it again on the bottom right of the Zoom window. There should be also a little button.
So we still have people here.
Matic Verbacic has not joined the room.
Yeah.
Matic, I'm looking like, even though I don't see you.
Maybe they're not actively participating. Maybe they are just listening. Not sure.
I know, but I'm calling him out.
Okay.
So he's not unknown to you. Is that what I'm hearing?
Anna Kira joined Tina. I thought you were joining Eva also.
Oh yeah. I thought I'm not like, I thought I should stay with you. Like,
No, we're fine. I think you can all join.
I actually, because I did this, the breakout rooms automatically, I can do them manually next time.
okay, so should I join now?
You will join Kira and Tina, so you'll be in a very familiar company.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Tina. Hey, you didn't join our breakout rooms. Any reason? She left.
No, she joined.
Oh, did she? I need to. Too much coffee. I'm not even going to say what I'm going to go do.
Way too much information.
Yeah. Are we still recording? Are we still recording?
Yes. So we have about 2 minutes. Is there something going on the on the Miro board? Is anyone writing anything?
Oh, we can ask them to do that when they share their stories. Maybe if you can put the question into the share your own experiences of software rollouts into the message into the groups, into the breakout rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a reminder, how much time do we have left? 2 minutes?
A minute and a half.
Yeah.
Broadcasting the message.
Lisa, you know what I think? I think the strongest relationships are formed during chain smoking sessions.
I think so too.
That's why I have no friends.
Yeah, I wanted to say that then it was good that I smoked when I met you.
Yeah, could be. I realized that when I think it was when I was still working for Gorenia, at some point when we moved to Velenia, you can pause the recording in the meantime afterwards, when next time we do the breakout rooms. But anyways, we moved offices and we no longer had like a terrace because we had a balcony kind of like around the building. And then I had to drive to Velenia. And all those lovely times kind of having these conversations in
Hi, Katja.
smoking breaks. Hey, Katja.
Hey, hi.
Hey,
Hi.
Julia.
Sorry for being late, but thank you for the warm welcome.
No worries.
So, okay.
So let's maybe close down the breakout rooms. Markus, do you want to kind of like, do you want me to wrap this part up and then pass it on to Lisa, or you can do it? Go.
I'm happy to. I mean, basically we have no notes on the
No
on board
post-its,
yet.
yeah.
Yeah, so we just ask them to maybe shout out a few things.
Are you closing the rooms?
Mm-hmm. They have 36 seconds
Okay.
to leave them.
We need music for the next time we stay around here for the breakout rooms. I'll do the sharing of the music for the next round. We already had horrible music today, no, Markus? No.
Okay.
Not so much.
7, 6. Everyone's back. I can mute.
Hello.
And everybody comes back like from hyperspace. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody from the outer rim. Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming back. And sorry for being so interrupting. Anna, what's happening now?
I think you're telling us what's happening.
Oh, I'm telling. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
So yeah, these conversations. Just please maybe take a minute now to think about, so what are your experiences, good or bad, with software rollouts, and put them on a post-it on the Miro board. If you happen to come in late, there's the link again in the chat. Find the Miro board. Actually, here is the link to the, not just the board, but the actual frame. So you'll find it where we can share these things. There is fear.
There's fear.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Markus, to interrupt. How do you make a link to a specific frame?
Little Miro tweaks. I just learned this yesterday. If you go to the rabbit poop menu on the frame, rabbit, the rabbit poop, the 3 dots. There you find copy link.
Oh, nice.
The link to the frame.
Oh, wow.
That
Okay.
makes things really easy sometimes.
Well, this was worth coming here just for this.
Okay.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Yes.
Everywhere you go.
Good experience. Rolling out in software in large organizations is super hard.
It's glistening once again with candy canes and silver
Yeah.
lanes that glow.
Gradual changes to checkout flows. Make sure a developer is nearby for any production rollout. Test. Yeah, absolutely. Sharing the same language. Usability testing.
I don't update anymore. Like I postpone my updates as a user a lot, like till the last minute.
There is a nice picture. The bigger the company, the harder it is to introduce new software. It's like roots from a really old tree. They're everywhere, and the new tree has to replace it, all of them. Yeah, our neighbors just replaced their garden. They moved in the new house, and it was a sort of my friend. It was a bitch to get all this stuff out, and they had the big machines digging through this thing. And anyway, that's it. Yeah, a lot of people are used to software, and it has been in the organization for a long time. Absolutely cool. I think that's great. So keep using that. The board is there, so if you want to share some more stuff, you can do it there. I would like to hand over to Lisa now to introduce us to the specific software rollout challenge that we tackled, and which was called Heartbeat. Lisa.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
I did
you
this
very
because I
much.
wanted to. Sorry for the music.
No
Go.
worries. There we go. Yes, so I want to tell you a little bit about what is Heartbeat and what did we set out to do within the project that we did. So ultimately, and as you can see here as well, is that our Heartbeat program is about putting our customers at our heart and putting them first at E.ON in everything we do and every day. So how do we do this one? If you go to the next. For us, it's about listening to our customers, understanding their needs, and also taking action up on what they're telling us. But we realized that that's not always so easy to do if the feedback that we receive from our customers is happening weeks after we have had an interaction with them. So Heartbeat is ultimately about having a real-time customer feedback system. So within hours, we can get feedback from customers about their experience and how their interaction has been with E.ON, which can also then help us in order to take action. It also lets us identify problems in our inner loop. So within the teams, within the frontline teams that are dealing with customers, and for them to really identify the problems that the customers have, and also allows them to identify if they can solve them, or if those problems or issues needs to be fed into the outer loop, which is teams outside that inner circle that then needs to take it from a more strategic point of view and look at the bigger picture and see what we need to do in order to solve our customers' issues. But by introducing a new system, so ultimately it started with the software that we're using that allows us to collect the feedback in real time. But to introduce this system, we also need to have the right competencies and the right skills in place in order for all our employees and the frontline employees to really be able to support our customers.
And just to make sure what the scale is here, you know, across Europe, it's how many customers? Like 22 million. It was a few years ago back, I think.
It was like 33, I think.
33. Yeah.
At that
So
point.
it's a huge problem in that sense to make this work, not just for a single interaction, but there's many interactions happening every day.
Yes, thousands of interactions with customers happening every day, and we need to make sure that we listen to what they are saying and how they are experiencing their interactions with us. So the job that we had, or the task, was to initially to develop a rollout and a training concept for our frontline and employees in order for them to use this new software and this new feedback system effectively, and also create a great learning experience for them, and also to bring along all the training material necessary and develop that and support the frontline colleagues during the rollout. We have different groups or different stakeholders in this. So you can say we have our customers, we have our advisors, so our frontline employees, so the people who are the real heroes in this, the ones who are dealing with our customers and speaking to our customers every day and trying to make the best they can for them. And we also have managers and coaches in this as well. For us, the focus was on the customer advisors, because they were the ones who were going to be most impacted by this rollout. So in order to do this, to create a perfect training and a rollout concept for them, we then got in contact with Workplay Experience and Markus and Ana, who then came on board to help us solve this riddle, I would say.
Yeah, that was a fun moment. Thank you, Lisa. So basically, what we were tasked is we had little time, so we started, I think, in the end of November, and we had to be ready with a whole training and rollout concept and actually implement it ready to be implemented by March. And there's this little festivity in between with lots of people going on holidays and everything slowing down. So it was an interesting thing. So basically, what this was impacting is the software on the computers of the people answering the phones. That they do a call, they get some feedback. That feedback pops up that now in the new system with them hours after the call was made, and it's also be seen by their team manager. It's also be seen by other people in the organization, and everybody can act straight away. And the interesting thing is this kind of second loop, because as soon as there's a bad feedback, what do you do as an organization? So the team lead needs to kind of talk to the advisors, saying, okay, what happened here, and get this kind of little feedback, and then make tweaks and see what happened. Is it a system failure? Was it a personal problem? Whatever it was, to look at that. How did we tackle that? So we built it into sprints, and because we didn't have time, we tried to actually co-create this together with the people on the ground. This is what we always do. Of course, these are the stakeholders. These are the basically the users of whatever training or initiative that we do, the rollout. But also, we needed to get going very quickly. So we needed to run prototypes before we had the research done. So we need to know how people take what their kind of guidelines were, what their limits were, what their type of learning was. So instead of waiting for just research to happen, we already built in co-creation sessions together with the people. So what was the structure, Anna? Where did we start?
Yes, so like Marcus said, we were quite in a little hurry, or basically tight on schedule. So we organized the whole project around 4 sprints, where we started with exploration. So we tried to understand the broader context of what is actually happening. So what does this mean for the people that are now, we're at this point already using the heartbeat system. So this live feedback customer experience system, which meant that we went to Bolton. So this is on, what is it, northeast UK?
Northwest.
Northwest. Okay, so so we went to Bolton for 2 days first of exploration, where we basically just went on the ground without knowing a lot. We had our general questions, the high-level research questions that we basically wanted to answer, but we wanted to see what is actually happening on the floor. So what is the team that is now running a pilot and using the system now? What are they experiencing? How is that influencing their work? We wanted to talk to different stakeholders. So like we said, with the agents, with their team leaders, with section managers. We heard a lot of acronyms that we did not, like, at least I didn't understand. Lisa was connecting the dots, but a lot of acronyms, and also a bit of call listening. So this was actually, it was the first time for me that I got a call center experience and saw what that looks like. And basically we got our first kind of impressions of what the system meant and what it meant for those people that were starting to use it. And then we went on, or so we thought, we brought those insights into
Sprint number 2. Yeah, which is more of a, still kind of extending the research part, understanding this whole thing better, but already by running co-creative workshops. So we worked, like, it was 2 days on site, again in Bolton. Just a little fun fact outside, there is a hotel right in the stadium of the Bolton Wanderers, which is so it's basically, that's where you sleep. And if there's a game going on, it's really interesting. Anyway, so basically, instead of doing more kind of interviews or observations outside, we wanted to interact with that kind of audience in a different way, in kind of little mini workshops, where it was bringing in people from the user base that we would have, the agents, but also on the second day, the team managers, and actually work with them. What did we do? You know, was like exercises around, you know, a bit of ideation, a bit of just gathering Post-its around little boards on how they do learning, you know, what they would like to see in this kind of things, how they want to be, what are the skills they need, what do they see. And we chose to do it in this co-creative way because these would be elements of training sessions in the future already. So we would kind of use our kind of research mindset. So we are still researching, but we would use methodologies that would also be in training sessions later. In that way, we already would gauge kind of the culture of this kind of environment, to gauge, you know, what are the pressures, how do they react to all that stuff, how do they react to humor or our humor, and what is how do we need to do the tone of voice of this whole thing. So these were things that you only find out when you really work with that target audience. So you can't ask for that. You need to see how people react. So that's what we did. And the interesting thing here already was that from the feedbacks, it was very clear that all the agents that had been using the software were saying, let's please switch it on tomorrow. It's so much better than the old system. So all the people in the call center that are working with the phones were super eager to go there. And what they also told us there already is kind of, we don't really need a big introduction. This is more or less self-explanatory. And we thought, there goes our project, right away. But while on the other hand, what we also found is that at this point already we saw a big stumbling block, which was that the time of the team leads was super scarce. And this new system would mean a new way of coaching. So they wouldn't have a monthly coaching session or feedback session with an agent, but suddenly they would have to coach on demand. Whenever something pops up, they have to jump in and actually do a callback to the end customer, and they have to talk to their agents, to their employees in their team. And that was a thing that needed a careful change. So suddenly we had this shift away from focus from the call center agent, from the advisors towards the team leads, and they were in a more difficult situation, and that we're going to talk about later more. So basically, then we went on to sprint number 3.
Yes, so like Markus said, we already had quite a bit of an idea that our project is not really the project that we thought we were going to be doing. The research showed us that we needed to shift our focus a bit, and we went back to kind of like, let's call it home. So this was not on the floor, but together with Lisa, we were looking at what did we hear and what did we see in Bolton, and try to make sense of all the different information and the feedback that we got from the team that was using already the new system, and also talking to teams that were not using the system and their perception of what might happen. So what is their perception from the outside of what does that mean for us potentially, in comparison to also all the other initiatives that were happening in the organization. And here we also felt that it was already, we were coming with ideas that were from the co-creation sessions that we had before. So in the discovery stage with the agents and the team leaders, we already had some ideas from on their side also about what could be the angle that we could be taking. And so this is why we already, next to the insights that we generated and some design principles, we also kind of made a list of ideas that we could be working on in the next iteration and in our next sprint. So we brought already some ideas that were based on our research into the next sprint.
So basically, then we went back. So sprint 1 and 2 happened in Bolton on site in the context of a call center. So we immersed ourselves there. We get to know people. We went to lunch with people, and this is so invaluable. So we did this for sprint 4 as well, for the prototyping part. And we basically just spent 2 days there and a half. So it's 3 days, like almost 3 days in Bolton, ideating and prototyping based on the insights that we get. So what could we do as a solution? And because we were scarce on time, there was the beginning of January, I think was sprint 4. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what we did in these 3 days, we created a shitty first draft of how a rollout journey would look like for kind of 3 audiences. We filmed a shitty first draft of a engagement video for the internal community of practice. We actually created a template for the internal community of practice on a tool called Connect. That's the social intranet at E.ON. We did run-throughs of like first iterations of the actual training sessions, like fast forwards of these things with like almost improv theater techniques. So we and many more. We actually had a list of emails for the communication during the rollout with drafts done in this short amount of time. We were only managed to do this, but because we had a small team on the ground that was helping with some of the graphics design and make it produce it, but also because we had the people in the room who would later have to do the job and co-create together with them. And that cuts a lot of corners because there is no handover later on. So you build that thing together with the people who have to deliver, and also together with the people from the target audiences, so there were team managers in the room and there were advisors in the room. And so there is already during the prototyping a lot of kind of testing mindset of adjusting it to the realities, everyday realities of people. So that's turned out to be super efficient. So that was kind of what we then cleaned up afterwards, and hopefully we delivered to the organization, because again, the whole thing is just a part in a bigger rollout project and software design project. So, and that was done by a software that was called Qualtrics, right?
Yes.
And the setup, just so you understand, it's not, E.ON doesn't build that software by themselves. They buy it in and it gets customized together with internal colleagues. And so they need to kind of build that or customize it to the needs of E.ON. And that was happening in parallel. And funny enough, our rollout part was only one part of a bigger project, and that caused some ripple effects as well down the road. And it's so interesting to see how it panned out. So let's dig into that. Let's start with the exploration. And let's do this exercise. Let's imagine we're at the beginning of a software rollout project. So the scope is, hey, we have this software, it needs to go to our users. What are research questions that you would ask and that you would like to have answers for, so we can design a good rollout experience, whatever that means? Let's take a generic software rollout project, and you can brainstorm from whatever you have as an experience, from introducing SAP into an organization, or introducing rolling out a web tool, whatever it is, or anything in between. What do you feel are useful research questions you would ask? And please, on the board, on the Miro board, there is it's on frame number 3. It's just below our record the learnings from the previous exercise. So basically just below there is the red things. And Anna, if you bring people to you, maybe.
Yes.
You can see that. And just share with us. Now we give you one or 2 minutes here to think about what would be research questions that you would like to ask and have answers for, so you can actually get a good feel for that organization and the software and all the challenges and the experiences of the people. And by the way, if you happen to not understand me because I'm too fast and talk too much at one go, then just please do stop me anytime. Just post on the chat if you got any questions. Or what are the research questions for the software?
Anna. Anna, share sound.
I'm sorry?
Share sound.
Ah, I thought I was.
Off.
One of the Zoom needs a DJ API.
Yes, when you share the screen without the music.
Yeah, it needs someone, an access for someone to just be able to put in the music. Okay, so what are the questions that you would think about when tasked with a software rollout? Maybe if you write you, so in like, what would you improve or what is the problem you are solving? Maybe specify what you mean with the you. So.
Right within your heart.
Mhm. I like some of these questions a lot already. Thank you.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. Sure, it's Christmas once more.
Okay.
Eva, of course.
Come to an end with this song. Is that actually the Canadian guy singing?
Yes, it is.
There we go. I was dragged to last year to a concert of Michael Bublé.
Really?
Yeah. It's not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, also thought it was really bad before, but this kind of.
Here we go. Okay. Maybe tone down the music. Let's have a look. So there is just sort of looking at the questions. So I like a few of them, and would just pick out one or two. Is what are the pain points? What are the user needs? It really, I think this is the core of it. Asking the question, why do we actually need that software? And I think if you develop a software by yourself, then this question should be raised a bit earlier. But my experience is sometimes if you buy in a software, people are not necessarily asking that question, and so it's interesting. And buying a software can mean buying SAP. It's kind of a enterprise resource planning, so everybody has to use that stuff, and it's everywhere in your company. So the question is, when do you need to ask that? So I like that. And also there is this what could go wrong. I like that as well. And that's something that is also very specific about a organization, because not every organization is the same. Everybody has a different level we need to gauge. Anna and Lisa. So
yeah. Sorry, I thought you wanted me to change the screen. So I think it was a really also a good question about who needs this, or what could go wrong. So who is actually buying this software? Also, who is the decision maker when an organization is buying a software, and do they actually think about people that will be using it at the time? And I think here with E.ON, we learned that E.ON was thinking about who will be using the software, and they were co-creating and kind of like, or the advisors were actually co-designing the interface. So basically the adaptation for their needs. So they would actually see what is, what they would be seeing on the screen when they were using it, which is not the case in many organizations.
And I think that, so when it's around what will change for the users, or who are all the different users that will be using it, I think that's really important to understand, to know how it impacts the different types of users. So where in the process you have a connection to the system. But also, so I think, so what we have mentioned, so what will change for the users. We thought when we set off, when I got briefed myself, when a colleague of mine came to me and said, Lisa, I have something that you need to do. We need a training program because we're piloting Heartbeat. That was like as simple as that. Okay, So then, for me to understand what is it that I need to do, and this question, what will change for the users? And that's something, as we have touched upon a little bit already, that not so much regarding the system actually changed in a bad way, rather to became an improvement, but that led us to look for other things that we needed to address instead.
Yes. So what
were the
Go ahead, Marcus. Yeah, it was just. Do you want to?
No, please. I was just asking the question. So what were the questions that we asked actually in the research?
Yes. So we were, similar to what was pointed out, we were looking at what was the experience of the actual advisors and the team leaders that were already using the Heartbeat pilot. So we tried to understand how that was influencing their work right now. We also wanted to know what effect the Heartbeat had. So the system had in terms of, was it really driving, and in what way was it driving customer-oriented behavior? So then being actually able to see the scores and the feedbacks that they got from the customers calling in shortly after the interaction. So they would say that, I think they got up to 3 feedbacks from one day on the next day already. So they could actually remember what was the actual conversation. We also wanted to see, like, what is the context of the interactions with the customers? So how does that actually look? So being there to, like, what does the desk look like? How do they, like, answering the phones? What are the tools that they might be using? So they're also using these, how do you call those? Like scripts for the conversations to be like in line with compliance and service quality and everything. We wanted to know also about the interactions that they had in their day-to-day. So what does that look like? How do the teams organize? How does that look like? How do they get briefed? So daily interactions, and also looking at, since we were going to be developing supposedly a training program, we wanted to know what are their current learning and coaching practices. So yes, this was in terms of the advisors. And then we also, like we mentioned before, we needed to, it was coming to the fore in a sense that yes, the advisors were not really having many issues because they were part of the co-designing of the interface. So the front end of the system, but we saw that there were team managers that were actually being the ones that were more potentially going to be influenced when this would be rolled out across different locations and the organizations. And that is, here we wanted to see how that influenced their work and how they basically act on the information that they get from the system, how it might influence their schedules, being that their time was really scarce and everybody was overworked, to be honest. And looking at also what does that mean for the conversations, or for the leading and the coaching of the actual advisors on the floor. So these were some of the questions that we were asking, right? Is there something that you wanted to add here,
Yeah,
Marcus?
I would just want to point out that this is similar to the questions that you guys ask. It's what you start with a scope that is given to you by the brief. So it's okay. What's the rollout experience, and how can we make this work, and what is connected to that? Okay, it's the different kind of software. So where do they come from? What was the old software? What's the new one? So what's the change that we're looking at? But then it's also a lot about understanding what the software actually does and how it supports that. And that pays into a lot of other things. And in our case, for example, it pays into, okay, it's part of that closing the loop that Lisa talked about. That means it's about giving feedback if a call was good or if the call was bad. So it's about the learning of an individual advisor to get better, to get more customer centric. It's about learning from the users, from the customers of E.ON about glitches that are out there, and actually hopefully passing on this information into the organization, say, hey, we have a problem here, or hey, we have something really great that is, it's good, we should build on that. Because they're talking to customers every day. So this is the context that we need to understand as well. And then something mundane as what's the freaking day-to-day experience of a person in a call center? So what's their schedule? How do they tick? How do we make dates with them? How do we get stuff into their calendars? It's a different world, and they might be completely different from what your experience is. So it's trying to probe these levels, and the trick is always to, okay, how big can I make this scope? Because we have limited time. Do I open up everything, and what am I supposed to do, and where are my boundaries here? And of course, so as soon as we have these, so when we set up these questions, of course, the next thing in research is, okay, if I know what I need to learn, how do I need to learn it, and who do I need to learn it from? And in this case, we already talked about the two kind of the two groups that we always been talking about. That's the advisors and it's their team managers. So basically the team leads. But there are certainly more people in this project that have an influence whether the rollout actually works or not, whether the change that we're trying to do here actually works or not. And that's something we need to be aware of. So who do we need to talk to, but also who needs to be in our radar so we're not missing anything. And I would like to invite you to do a very quick exercise with us on the board. And Anna, just to make sure, please remove the other groups. Just leave one stakeholder map open, maybe quickly. And we're gonna just very quickly co-create a massive multiplayer stakeholder map. So it's, we all do this at the same time. It's 30 people in this call. Let's see if this works. So the question I'm asking you is, who are the people for a software rollout, for a generic software rollout project? Who do we need to talk to? Who should be on our radar? And we're just gonna use group number one, the stakeholder map on the top left, in the top left corner. All the others are gonna disappear in just a second anyway. So if you're here, that is frame number 5. Frame number 5. So how does the stakeholder map work? Basically, you think about a stakeholder group and you put this name on a post-it and then you place it onto this board, onto the 3 circles. The more important you think a stakeholder is for the project, the more to the middle you place them. If they're kind of not so important or have not a lot of impact on the goals of our project, maybe you can put them more to the outside. And of course, that space around these 3 circles allows us to kind of cluster similar people or stakeholders in one arena, as we would like to do. And since this is a massive multiplayer version of stakeholder mapping, I've never tried this before. This is going to burn, this is going to go up in flames. But let's try this. I think it can work. We've done it similarly in different ways. So just grab a post-it. And I suggest, so we have a bit more space, we actually make the post-it slightly smaller. So we take S sized post-its. So there is more space on the board for everybody. Grab a post-it and think about kind of 1, 2, 3 stakeholders each. Who do you need to talk to? Who should be on the radar of such a software rollout project? And put them on the board where you see them fit. The more important, more to the middle, less important, more to the outside. And we give you for that maybe 1 or 2 minutes. So think about who should be people we should talk to answer maybe the research questions, but also who else should be on our radar. Maybe we're not covering everything. So we got the team leads. Maybe we got the advisors. These were the people that we already talked about. Who else? We have the customers coming in. Very good. Just try to post it. Mm-hmm.
He's checking it twice. He's gonna find out who's naughty or nice. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Also think about the context that we're in. Who are people that have an influence on this whole picture?
He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. You better watch out.
I like that the software user is called Beatrice. You got a name.
He's amazing, by the way. He's amazing. He also likes Star Wars. I need to try this group watch feature of Disney Plus on Friday.
The Mandalorian.
Yeah, of course. Okay, if you see post-its by other people that are similar to the ones that you posted, consider moving them closer to each other so that you're kind of naturally formed clusters.
So be good for goodness sake. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming. I mean the big fat man with the long white beard. He's coming to town.
Cool. Let's keep it that way. I think that's already quite nice. And turn down the music. Fantastic. So thank you for that. So what we see is some much more complex picture than we sketched out at the beginning. And this is actually, I think, a lot what we found when doing this project is, yes, yeah, we're going to work with the people, the advisors, and we're going to work with the team leads. And we might actually work with the section managers. But there's a lot of other people that have an interest in the project, but also independent of the project, have an impact on the daily lives of these people. And that's the kind of environment that we're in. It's just like, I think this is an example that I use normally. If you look at the moving experience of people, when you move houses, for example, and you do it from the perspective of an energy provider or from your mobile phone provider, then, you know, they might have an experience about, you know, how do I change the address? How do I change the contract to move? But then if you ask the customers what their experience is, then a moving experience is quite hard. Depends on why you move. Why do you move houses? Do you move houses because you grow as a family? Then, you know, on your mind is the little one, and maybe it's, you know, you just bought a house and it's this amazing amount of debt that you suddenly have, and maybe you're already, you know, older and you've got a 14-year-old daughter who hates the new house and because she's away from her friends. That's the context that your contract changes in. So you need to be aware of that to place it correctly. Are you the helpful ones? Are you the ones that steps back, or you say, no, we organize that for you? And here it's the same thing. You know, while not all these stakeholders have a direct impact on the project, some of them have an impact on the lives of our advisors and have an impact on the life and the challenges of our team leads. And that was actually a lot what we found. And Lisa, do you want to dig into that kind of that whole space? You know, because it's a big organization as well that you need to organize.
It's a huge organization, and even if we started this only in one country, that proved to be lots bigger than we could have imagined even. And I think something that came up for us as well is that how can you identify your stakeholders, or how can you build relationships with them if you don't even know that they exist? So that's also something to, or for us, that happened a lot, that there were new people, new names coming up, new functions, new departments, new projects, etc. that pop up then that we then had to deal with. Something that we learned, so one of the biggest or the main stakeholders within this is obviously our colleagues on the front line, so our brilliant advisors who we were targeting, and also their team managers. And I personally had no idea how difficult it was to get the time with them, because their days are so fully packed every day, and they work on really tight schedules because they are serving our customers, and that is the priority. So even to get 5 or 10 minutes with them proved to be much more difficult than any of us had ever expected. So when we thought, oh, we can go and speak to people and we can request people's time, that actually was a lead time of weeks until we could get that time with them, due to the importance of the tasks that they are doing. We also found, so as I mentioned, when new things, projects or people come into play in large organizations, and perhaps in smaller organizations as well, there are a lot of different initiatives and different projects coming from the more corporate part of the organization. So what things that are happening that will impact our frontline colleagues as well. And I think it's really important to understand or have an understanding, or try to get as a good understanding as you can, because it is difficult if you don't even know that it exists, then you can't understand it. But try to identify that to see what other things are in play here, and what does that mean for our target group, and what does that mean for us, and what it is that we would like to do. Also, yeah, go on, Markus.
Maybe just to jump in here, what this concretely meant was, when we were looking at the stakeholder map after a few interviews, after the first 2 sessions, what we saw was that there were a lot of connections from different stakeholders in the organizations were going towards the team leads. The team leads basically channel everything into their teams. So legal was asking them to stay compliant. Customer experience was, asking them to be really good to the customers. Other people were asking them to be efficient. The sales guys were asking them to run this kind of campaign and sell this and, you know, do this. Other people were saying, yeah, fix this. We have a problem in this area. You need to know this now. So a lot of information just was dumped onto these poor guys, and they had to make sure this kind of gets passed on to the team. So they became the bottleneck of that. And that was the environment we were in with our project suddenly.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and they were really trying to juggle and deal with all of this. So this is something that is important to understand. How do these relationships affect each other, and who is affected ultimately? What we also found was that you need to be able to adapt quickly to changing priorities in the business, because that happened to us in this project as well, where on the business side there were some priorities that shifted, things were delayed or things were held up, some strategic decisions were made that affected the work that we were doing and affected ultimately both the advisors but also the managers. So for us to be I would say very agile and adaptive in what we did or what we could do was really crucial for us ultimately. So that is also for me a huge learning, to really listen to the business, what are your stakeholders saying, and adapt to that.
Yes. So what was that? This was the main point, no, Markus, when you think of it, this was the big question for us. So how do we work adaptively when it takes us 4 to 6 weeks to get a meeting with people and to basically get people that we need in the room into co-creation sessions and have conversations that we needed to have, and kind of go and dig in deeper into the background of how can we actually help?
Yeah, trust the process. Let's iterate. Yay! Let's adapt. You know, just look back, learn, adapt. This works beautifully if you're a development team and you're kind of, you know, all the people are there. But in some situations, this is really, really hard. And the only way we found to deal with that was, you know, getting in personal favors, you know, by playing kind of networks that you do. It's kind of, yeah, I know if I officially do this, it will be 4 weeks until I get into this calendar. The other thing that helped us a lot was actually, so we're so happy that we scheduled everything on site. So even if we don't get an official meeting, you know, basically waiting for lunchtime or waiting for a coffee break got us 2 minutes of a conversation. So we could cut corners here. However, some people were just not there. And the question there is, you know, how can you, for future projects, how can you anticipate that more? Because that's the only way that we found is to actually deal with that situation, is to anticipate and sometimes block the time of people that are, and that you suspect that you want to talk to, even if you don't know yet, but you just block the time well in advance. And it's much easier to release a date, a meeting, and say, I give you this time as a present, you know, than to actually get it on short notice. So I think it's, in the end, it's looking at the stakeholder map and seeing, okay, who could we need, and maybe find people that are also very well connected, that you make part of these sessions, so that you know, they might jump in and give you information about many subjects. So a few kind of chokers in a card deck, it would be a choker. So these would be the things, you know, in hindsight to look at. We had a few discussions around that.
So one thing that we also already mentioned is that we realized fairly quickly that we had basically we had a project, and the problem that kind of revealed itself through research, so through the exploration and the discovery, is that was out of our project scope. So it was not actually, we did not need to train advisors more than, or basically develop a whole new training program for the advisors and the teams, but we needed to have a look at what is happening with the team leaders and how can we basically face that part. So what happened to us is actually that we did find out, so that the advisors thought it was simple to use. So the heartbeat system was simple to use and it was simple to understand. So there was no big issues there, but we saw that there was the team leaders or the team managers were the ones that were not using it yet, saw it as potentially a lot of additional effort that we would be basically adding them on next to all the other different initiatives that were coming in from compliance, from service quality, from OE, so operational excellence, and all the different acronyms that I won't remember now. So there was a lot of pressure being put on the team leaders, and we actually needed to, or what we were facing is we needed to rescope. So what are we doing now? And we ended up having a conversation, what can we still do? So how do we still design something that is relevant now for a different kind of target group for us? So this was with a focus on the team leaders. And what we ended up doing, right, was actually designing different rollout journeys. So we actually designed a journey for how they could roll out the whole heartbeat system across different locations and countries, so the whole organization. And it was done for the team managers, advisors, and their supervisors. And this was done in a co-creation process, like Markus mentioned before. So we did co-create this, and it was actually, we were prototyping together, and then we iterated on these journeys later on. We also provided location rollout guides that were adaptable to different locations with templates and checklists. So it was basically a toolkit of how do you roll out this system on your location with least pain as possible in terms of effect on how business is getting done. So day-to-day business and the call center. We thought we'd quickly kind of show you a few. So this is our rollout journey. That is quite big. I think we iterated more than almost 15 times, I guess, no, on this.
Probably.
Showing not only, so the different levels, so the different kind of users of ours, so the advisors, the team managers, and their section managers. We looked at what their experience might look like and what were the touch points that we were actually designing for them. And on the bottom here, you can see that we also looked at what is the biggest kind of like time pressure. So the red line here is where the team managers are mostly influenced by the time that we're taking away from them. And one thing that I think here we managed to do is we minimized the time that was needed to kind of involve the team managers into the rollout process. We will also be trying to, how do you say that, be respectful of your time, because we know we're running a bit late. So this is why I'm speeding up a bit, like a rocket to the moon. So these were there were different rollout journeys. We also tried to make them more simple. I mean, we did make them more simple for the rollout kits. So the ones that we were sending out to different locations. And this was also content. So we also, during our prototyping sessions, we actually designed and I think we already put it online, like a prototype of the content for
we did.
Yeah, for the Connect platform.
It did.
And this was what, Lisa, for basic?
Yes. Yes, so this is a screenshot from our prototype from our social intranet that we use. So we wanted to build up, start a community, so heartbeat community. So across locations, so no matter if you where you were working, that you could still keep those customers' conversations going, share your experiences, give each other tips and tricks of how to do certain things in the best way, but also to be able to provide our advisors and managers with what's in this for me. So what is my part in this bigger picture, but also including questions and answers, etc. But ultimately for inspire and empower those so important customer conversations. And I'm very pleased to see that this is very much alive now 3 years later and is running by itself. So that's just fantastic to see that it is happening every day.
And what you were mentioning here, right, that this is something that actually started like an ongoing conversation and also peer-to-peer learning through this community.
Exactly.
So people are now sharing their experiences with the system and also good practices in terms of, it's when you put it like that, it's basically good practices on how to get, how to create good customer experiences and what are the kind of like, what are the tips to how to have a good call, right?
Exactly.
And how to get a good NPS score around this. What were the other ones that you thought were something that was an outcome for the project, for the organization?
So we saw, based on our findings, so when we were hit by the scope and found a new problems came about, and new kind of scope came out of this, we saw that also new initiatives and new projects started across the organization to address the problems that we have found. So for example, in terms of the high pressure on our team managers and their very, very precious time and the workload that they actually have to make all of this happen. So that was a huge and important outcome from this. But I think also our journeys that we created, what you just saw, really provide, they still do, but provided a very structured approach on how to roll this, because it's not a software, it's so much more than that. This is about cultural and behavioral change, but how do you approach that and roll it out in an organization and on your own location, and also across teams, and also something that then can also be used across all of our different regions and countries that in which we are operating, that needs to do the same. Yeah.
So Markus, do you want to kind of like take us away with what we thought we learned with this? So this is kind of with all the complexity.
Absolutely, it's basically, if we, why this stuck with us, and also why we wanted to basically reflect on this maybe for this session, is some of the realities. You find something in problem space in your research that you cannot solve within the scope of your current project. How do you deal with that? In our case, we were lucky enough that all the people involved said, okay, this is massive. This is a really great finding. Let's tackle that. And that speaks a lot for the culture of that organization. It's saying, guys, we're all these kind of different divisions that speak into the call center. We need to align, and we actually need to talk to each other to make this great. Because in the end, it's, this is our gateway towards the end customer, and that has a super impact on the customer experience overall. And to, basically, the way we, do this is kind of, we need to adapt, but also we need to have structure, and we need both. And so basically a lot of the learnings here are around, so what is the structure we need to put in place, because we need to deliver something after 3 months or 2 months. We needed to deliver something. So we couldn't wait. We had to do something, and we had to do something that was helpful for the people on the ground. So we found that freedom within the workshops, being on site, adapting our daily agendas, but not moving the signpost of delivering. And then sometimes, and this is sometimes it was some counterintuitive at the beginning, is kind of, if you're tasked to deliver a training for the agents, for the advisors, and you're saying they don't need one, that's a fantastic outcome, even though your service design ego might be a bit bruised, because you say, I've got all these kind of super tools to make them go wow, and it's amazing, and you can deliver something. But no, that's not necessary. That's the best thing you can give them, is not disturb them and just move on. And so this was something that I think was one of the key things in this project. So these are the 3 things that I would take away. And don't know, Anna, Lisa, anything to add?
It is that it's a good thing that we have a client on board all the time throughout the process, that you can actually do this. No, I'm not delivering the training, so we're not doing what you asked us for. I think this is,
Yeah, I think
Lisa.
that co-creation, so we're really working together from day one, and I didn't outsource this to Markus or Anna to do this. This is about co-creating, and then also ultimately co-creating with the people that you are creating for. And I think also ultimately having the courage, so for us to really say to the internal organization, no, this is not about training. That's not what this is, because the advisors don't need a training, but instead we suggest, and then we can really rely and go back to your research and the insights that you have. I think that makes it, or breaks it, but makes it in this case.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is
There's
more or
a
less
question.
what we had prepared.
There.
So I think we were fine with now going to the questions, because we've
I thought we did drinks at some point.
we should be drinking. So we can have a drink and have a conversation about the questions. Amanda, do you want to take us away?
Okay, thank you. Thank you to all 3 of you. Awesome case, awesome work. There were 2 questions till now. So Anna Kira is asking, E.ON is in many countries, so how did the culture of different locations affect the rollout?
Should I
Lisa?
start?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Was just wondering. Yeah. Thank you, Kira, for asking. And really good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Yes, E.ON is in many different countries, and yes, there are cultural differences for sure. And I think one example which became very obvious was cultural differences between Germany and UK. Just as an example, where yes, Markus. But how do you speak to people? That is a difference. What data can you actually access? What data can you share? That's a difference, which would then ultimately lead to how can we work with this data, and who can take part of this data. So when we designed this, we had this in mind, and created these journeys in to be flexible, so that you can adapt them for your own culture, for your own location, and what works for you. Because it wasn't, they weren't saying that yes, you have to do it exactly this way. Rather, this is a structure that we provide to you, and then feel free to adapt how you see fit based on the needs that you have in your own organization. So yes, there are cultural differences.
Markus, Anna, do you want to add something?
I think Marcus is offended about the German thing. Are you kidding?
No.
Wasn't an
thing is,
offense.
Regulation people.
Germans are not, we're super skeptical about anything kind of data privacy thing. So on average, of course, that makes Germany a fantastic country to test anything, to do with these kind of GDPR related issues. So if you want to, if you can make it work here, you can make it work anywhere, because it will just be downhill from here. So
Uphill.
in that sense, yeah.
Awesome, nice tip. We have another question, and it's from Eastdoc. What was the biggest misconception you had? So maybe we can start with Markus and then Anna.
I mean, I'm preaching adapting and stuff, really, and preaching might be the right word here, but you also catch yourself that you think, okay, I saw the briefing. We will just deliver a really great training. Yeah, and just after you learn about the whole situation, you see it's breaking down. That's not what they need, and there is, I think, the struggle that you need to be prepared to let go, even though that's your pet peeve and that's the area that you kind of really know your way around, and then just to say no, but that's not what the client needs. That's not what the people need here, and just let go. Yeah. And I think people sometimes think, yeah, I can go into a project and I just with the mindset of a newbie, and that's whatever you see in these design books, but you never have a really perfect empty page. So in that sense, to be aware of that at the beginning is good, and then but because that allows you to let go. So maybe the biggest misconception was that I believed, and we built the whole structure around that, also for the necessity of having to deliver fast. So you make these bets, because otherwise, if you wait for all the data, then you're too late, because you would have had to move like 5 weeks ago. So basically, we made some of these decisions, but then of course, we changed it. But it's that was the biggest misconception, I think. Lisa?
Thank you.
Anna?
Anna?
I'm thinking if this was not actually my biggest kind of, I think this was the project where I learned to let go. It was not so much a misconception as in also, and I remember you actually telling me, Anna, we are there. I think you should learn to kind of, you cannot plan for everything, because I have this need to kind of like have a structure and plan for different scenarios. And I think one time that we were leaving Bolton, we had a conversation, Marcus, and you said, we're there, that we have enough experience that we should be able to kind of feel comfortable also with improvising a bit. So going back to the freedom within structure, it's like, how can we shift a bit and go out of the structure and what we thought we were doing, and kind of letting go of that. And I think this was also kind of, for me, again, having worked in a big organization before, and also always thinking, because this also came from this, that a big organization is also forcing you to, we know what we need, so you need to deliver this. So, and I think here, like I said before, having that understanding there with that team and like being able to work like this, like we did in the end, was being flexible and delivering something that kind of added, that brought value despite of the fact that it wasn't what we thought we were doing in the beginning.
Maybe a comment on the team here. We carefully selected who was on the team, and basically working with Lisa is a dream, because basically they have a high design maturity in their team. So they know exactly what we're talking about when it's about, okay, we need to rescope and we need to, pivot. And so there is no need to explain that. We need to just talk about, okay, what's there in the data, what's there in the needs of the people. And that's hard enough, I find, in these cases. But what we did, we brought on Paul Seth Jackson as one part of the team, and he's a master trainer and read his books. Paul Jackson. He used to be the head of the Applied Improv Network. It was a huge. You might have talked about them. That people use improv theater techniques in business every day. So he was part of the research, and the thinking behind that was that he would look for stuff that we wouldn't be able to, because he was looking for the training needs. He was looking for the way people interact. He had a very clear eye. So also by the staffing, you make sure you're not missing things and you can move fast, because it's the people who then give you the concepts that are already there during research. There's no handovers. So everything there was built that way. And that, as Anna mentioned, we put the team together that would be able to improvise a training on the spot if necessary, with little preparation, because life prepared these guys to that point. So there's a lot of experience was in the room that we're able to play that way. And Anna, actually, even if she wouldn't admit it, it's also part of that team for that reason, because she can do it, even if she needs that preparation. But also
another conversation.
For next time.
So Lisa, what was the misconception from you, except for building a different thing in the end?
Yeah, so I think I never thought it was going to be easy, so I don't want to say that, but it really gave me a view of how complex these things can be. So when you think we're doing something, and when you start to dig into it, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and you're in contact with more and more people who wants to have a say or who needs to have a say, and where you also, and I really believe this is important, but you have these different initiatives. They might be competing, or they might complement each other. But when you really need to start building on those different initiatives and start to learn from each other and start to cooperate. But for me, it was, just see how it grew. And it could have been like even bigger, maybe that's for another project. But I think that for me, I didn't think it was easy, but I didn't know it was that complex. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that's it for the questions. So I would ask at this point, everyone who's still with us, we usually do a screenshot of seeing all the lovely people that are with us. And I kind of need the screen to do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I remember it was a thing.
So please turn your camera on if you're still with us, or cover yourself. If it's not, put your best Christmas face on, and let's do this. 1, 2, 3. The good thing is that Anna covered herself, and apparently I don't know how to print screen anymore.
I can.
All right.
Matisse, hello.
Finally. Okay, Anita also joined. We're going to do another very fast. Thank you, lovely people. And Anna, what do we have in the presentation for?
Is it invitations and?
Yes. So does anyone have anything? Reminder survey. So we like to do, we send a survey out after each drink. So I'm going to put it in chat. It takes 2 to 3 minutes, and we are very, very happy when you give us some feedback, so we make this event even better. Only send it to Anna Kira.
This is why we put it in the chat, is because we realize that people, when we send it afterwards, people do not fill it in. So
yes,
if you
the
have
recording will be available, and we will put it on YouTube. We just created our account last night, and we will also put our last recording up there. It might take us a day or two or three, but we'll let you know. Forthcoming events. Next month, FailFest, celebrating all our fails because we learn from them with the team of Clean Shelf. Then in February, awesome Laura, a Slovenian living in Portugal, will tell us all about sustainability in design and design ethics. And in March, our own Yanje will talk about gamification or UX in gaming. Sorry, not gamification, but UX in gaming. So stay tuned for our for all our notifications and emails and all the other things. And now we have some time. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But we also, does anyone have anything to share, an event to invite us to, or a job that we need to be aware of? This is the time and place. So Anna, if you can remove the screen so we can see everyone.
Yes.
Ana, Kira, go.
So I would like to invite everybody on the 30th of December. The Co-Creation School has a special holiday event called Cool Stuff and Warm-Ups. So you're going to learn about all the cool stuff and warm-ups. It's free. The only limit is that you have to subscribe to our newsletter. The link is in the chat, and join us and share and learn about cool stuff and warm-ups.
Awesome, thank you.
Matej, any announcements? I was actually do share.
Thank you. Apart from me, shaving like a Batman for you.
I was waiting for the moment to tell you awesome mustache.
Thank you. Thank you. It took me a whole lot of time to do it. No, I'm kidding. It was all done in 5 minutes. So basically, you just missed us. Product Tank was live yesterday. We planned on this day, and then I remembered you have your own slot, so we moved it a bit. So basically, yeah, like it was a really good discussion. We had product roadmaps in fintech, and we had product managers from N26 and Slovenian MBILs, and it was really, really good because we covered a lot. And I love the questions about how Simon, the deputy officer, handled the question whether how can a young guy who is enthusiastic or young person come into the domain. And he basically just said he gave a couple of advice, and he said, when we go back to normal, this is an invitation for you, come visit us and we'll talk. And it was a total blast, a lot of comments, a lot of stuff. So if I press enter now, you have the recording there. I believe that is a good hour to spend. Thank you. Thanks for the plug.
Thank you. When's your next product tank?
I guess January. Me and Matej decided that we'll plan that on Monday, because the day after the meetup, we tend not to like each other. So we need a bit of break, and then coming back in January, around 20th November.
Okay, great.
And how can we get notified about this? Do you have any website or anywhere where we could follow? When's the next event?
How great that you just asked that. No, we're also on the meetup.com. Just go Product Tank Slovenia or Product Tank SI. Apply there. There's a five questions questionnaire, but you can just fill in the blanks and we'll know it's you. So please join us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Anything to share? Well, then I guess this is it for tonight. Thanks to everyone who survived until 8:10. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to Markus and Lisa for joining us and sharing all their awesome expertise. Thanks to Ana for sharing how awesome she is. We wanted more. And right now, this is officially the end of this year. Well, just the drinks, and we're gonna have some drinks after, so you are welcome to join us in our backstage. We like to talk a little bit and share more, have some fun, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for
Happy New Year.
making this happen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Woo. I'm going to put on music. You can stop recording, Amada, and we can grab drinks.
Thank you.
Bye.